Okay, we are now recording, so you'll be able to watch this again. It'll be posted on the Success Partners calendar. So with that, I would like to introduce a really amazing person. He is a $1 Million Club member. He is a $150,000 ring earner, maybe more now. I get confused. He keeps making so much money. He's an amazing mentor to me, has been in the business for many, many years. And he has made this money with Legal Shield on a very part-time basis because he's also a tennis coach and he runs tennis clubs. So he's a busy guy. So with that, I would like to introduce Mr. Timur Halligan.
Well, thank you so much, Annette. Really, really appreciate you, and congratulations on all your success. I love Annette's story. I mean, what's so great about our business, you get to meet great people when you're out networking. And when you're out there networking, you have the opportunity to share this incredible business opportunity and membership. And then that person decides to move like she did, to go down to Mississippi and bring her business right along with her. You know, she was an ambassador of the year in Illinois in our chamber. I think you won something or did something very, very similar down in Mississippi. And just so appreciate you, Annette, and all of y'all for joining us tonight. Listen, it's Sunday night. It's the first Sunday of June. So we've got our monthly team Zoom. Can you believe that we are almost halfway through 2023? Like literally just the other day, seems like we were saying, okay, 2023, it's here. It's going to be a tremendous year. And now we find ourselves in our 6th month of 2023. And the company's made some really cool announcements over the last couple of days. And so I'm going to go out to a lady now who's going to another networking queen out of the Evansville, Indiana marketplace. And I know you had a great finish to last month. It came down to the wire, but you continue to do what you needed to do, continue to be in Performance Club, and continue to spread the word, not only in Evansville, Indiana, but all across all kinds of different platforms from a networking perspective. I'm going out to Miss Lee Perry.
Thank you so much, Timur Halligan. Hey, everybody. So excited to be here. Instead of just making the announcements, I'm going to show you where to find them. I'm going to share my screen right now so that you can see exactly where to go when you are trying to share this information with the rest of your team, or you can't remember. You go into LS Engage and then click right here with Network Update. And you see exactly what's going on. So we have the Summer is Hot Builders Incentive. What does this mean? You have an opportunity to earn a $10,000 bonus, up to a $10,000 bonus. And this is the formula right here. Personal network premium times personal retention times personal recruits. And this is new, times fast start qualifiers. That's your multiplier, gives you unlimited points. And here's the full incentive details. So it's the top 50 folks in the country in Legal Shield and Canada. And those top 50 people will earn the bonus money that's listed right here. So that's the only qualifier, is that you do your personal network premium, personal retention, and personal recruits, and fast start qualifiers to get those unlimited points. All right. And then we also, one important thing to know, and it's at the bottom of this sheet, is that this is the last month for the recruiting special at $49. So if you've had folks that have been on the fence about whether or not it's time, this might be just a little nudge that they need to go ahead and get started. And then you can help them get fast start qualified so that they can help you achieve those goals up here at the top. And also, don't forget that the bonuses are still in effect. So as your fast start recruits fast start qualify, they get bonuses and you get matching bonuses as well. There's a new private business owner overview that's done in less than 20 minutes, and it includes both Darnell Self and Liz LeCue. And there's one other thing I wanted to show you. As you do this recruiting, if you need an additional incentive for folks, this new Performance Club, here it is, the Digital Performance Club brochure. If you haven't looked at this, y'all, this is really cool. It's digital, so it's got a built-in video that kicks in just as soon as they open it. All right. It talks all about Performance Club. It explains everything, and it shows the power of Performance Club as you continue to achieve. And it also has a video about the trips and it tells you how to qualify. So if you've got somebody that's looking at the business and trying to decide whether or not they're going to come on board, especially if there's a sales professional, this might be something that you might want to use with them. So anything that you need, if you weren't able to get on the company call on the first of the month, remember it's 10 o'clock a.m. Central Time on the first of the month for the communication show from home office. If you're not able to get on that, it is recorded, but then you can also just check right here on this network update, and it's got everything that you need to know, where to go and where to find it, and it's got the hot links on there as well. So Tim or Halligan, I'll stop sharing and send it back to you, sir.
That was awesome. I mean, you know, we hear that word, you hear a $10,000 bonus. I can remember several years ago, they had an incentive where it was a $30,000 bonus. And I remember we received that. I remember getting that notice. It was probably back in like 2015 or 2016. Because when you first see these numbers, you start to think, well, I can't win it. Well, absolutely you can. That's why they're called incentives, right? They're designed to try to get you to stretch a little bit more. And when you take a look at those bonuses, you know, you've got, first place is 10,000 and 31st place to 50th place is 250. I mean, $250, you know, and then, you know, at 500 to then 1,000 and 2,000. I mean, you got 5th through 10th place pulling in $2,000, 4th place, 2,500, 3rd place, 5,000, you know, 7,500 and then 10,000. And you've got the formula. So everybody's got the same exact opportunity to be able to do this. And, you know, what better thing when you've got this brand new video, if you haven't watched it yet with Liz and Darnell, it is awesome. Right? It is a great video. It's about 19 minutes. And I know there's also a promotion the club companies got going on, another incentive where it's like, if you can get that video out 10 times, I believe it is this month, you receive some recognition and the opportunity to win some things. And what's interesting, when you think of the word incentive, it's a noun and it says it's a thing that motivates or encourages one to do something. So, you know, you've got this opportunity. So it's a matter of, is it important to you? Then you talk about Performance Club, right? Goodness gracious. The new Performance Club was really kind of brought us back to the old Performance Club last month. Just want to quickly just go through what that means for folks. You know, you get, every time you sell something, you get a premium dollar. You get $1 every time you sell a membership. You bring on a brand new associate, you get 50 points. So not only do you get the, whatever the points are for them from a premium perspective, you also get the points for them when they come on as a new associate. You help them fast start qualify, you get another 50 points. You open a small group, you get another 50 points. All you need is 150 points, and you can carry up to 150 points over into that next month. But what's really cool is they've kind of gotten away from the, you know, PC Pro and just PC. It's just one now. And if you're in your 3rd through your 11th month, this is $200 a month bonus. So months 3 through 11, $200 a month. So if you're not in Performance Club right now, start being in Performance Club right now. So then by June, July, August, come September, you get yourself a $200 bonus. Then you get up to your 12th month through your 23rd month, and you're in a $300 bonus. 24 through 35 months, you're at $400 bonus, 36 plus consecutive months, $500 bonus. Folks, that is the foundation for building your business. I believe that I'm on month 218 right now. So you do the math. Just take about $500, $400, whatever number you want to use, multiply it by 218. That's about $100,000 worth of Performance Club bonuses. So set that as your minimum, set that as your goal, take that incentive, and that will carry you into all of the other incentives. And it will also carry you in to be able to start building and developing a team. So if you put your focus into getting people in front of the information, getting them to watch the information, getting them to see the information, getting them to listen to the information, get them onto a 3-way call with somebody, and then you start that whole process all over again of working with them to create their list, setting them up to get their private Zoom set up to get rocking and rolling. And you keep teaching that same process over and over and over. And in fact, Lee, I thought I'd seen, and I don't think I printed it. Maybe someone could jump in, and didn't I see there was a bonus also this month for senior directors that go 3 months in a row? Did I see something like that? If you can double check on that one, we can maybe come back, but I know there's an incentive where if you do 3 months in a row as a senior director, you've got some sort. So you got a lot of folks on here that are directors. Were you able to find that, Lee?
I didn't see it on there, but I'll check on the incentives.
Yeah, no worries. We'll post it
Chairman.
on Team Ascent. I know it's there. We'll post it on Team Ascent. What I want to talk about real quick before we get the opportunity to go into an interview that I'm really, really excited about is, a lot of times throughout your Legal Shield journey, you start, you stop, you start, you stop, right? It happens. If you're an athlete, you get injured. It happens. You sit on the sidelines for a little bit of time. Sometimes you sit on the sidelines for so darn long, it's hard to jump back into the game. But the most important thing that you can do is always know what are your fundamentals. What are your basics? What are those things that if you can just do consistently, you'll be able to get back into the game at maximum speed. And for us, that is our 10 core commitments. Our 10 core commitments are those things that you do. Like, listen, I don't care what religion you are. If you follow the 10 commandments, you'd be a pretty darn good person, right? You'd be a pretty good person. And if you follow the 10 core commitments, you'll be a darn good Legal Shield associate. And the first one is that you start your day the right way. That means you commit to personal development, right? So you're going to read 10 pages of a good book, listen to 15 minutes of inspirational video, review your action steps, create good habits. Then you want to stay connected. Like right now, you are connected because you are on our team Zoom. You plug into the social media groups, the Legal Shield associate success page, as well as the associate support page. If you ever have any questions about something, put it out onto Legal Shield Associate Support. Someone's going to get back to you pretty quick. You've also got the ability to jump on our communication show. It's on the first of every single month, and it's every single Monday, right? So every single Monday, you want to be on there and stay plugged into it. I'll be honest, I've drifted away from that at times, and then I find myself drifting back. And I can usually find my business drifts the same way that I drift away or to and from the 10 core commitments. Commit to 2 exposures a day, 2 a day every day. 2 people, that's it, 2. At the end of your first week, that's 10. At the end of your first month, that's 400. At the end of your first year, you're looking at 440 or so folks that you've reached out to. And of those, we know that a certain percentage are going to buy this membership, and a certain percentage. I remember the numbers they gave a few years ago when Legal Shield was getting acquired, and it was 65% of people would buy Legal Shield over a period of time. So if you're making 400 exposures, think about that. Take that times 65, and that's your end of year. But the key is that you got to follow up. Get the 2 exposure day, attend your weekly events. Be on our Zooms, guys. Like, listen, I know live events are starting to come back. So if they're in your marketplace, get out there, meet some people. Meeting people is really cool, right? It's better than just sitting there and watching everything from Zoom, but Zoom is pretty darn awesome. But attend your weekly events, be on our Zoom Monday or Wednesday. I don't care which one. If you the fact that it's so much easier now to do it, it's also so much easier not to, because you always tell yourself, I'll get somebody on tomorrow. When you used to have 1 briefing a week, there was no missing that, and there was no other opportunity for another week to get somebody on. So get folks out to those. Get to our next convention, right? So make sure you're at our next big event. Those that came to Charlotte, it was awesome. Attend your Super Saturday every single month. Help your new associates get started right. Attend the international convention. Retain your members, super important. Sell the membership right. Get the members to download the app right away. Get them to use their membership so that they will stay on the books for generations, folks. Get yourself a workout partner and be here 1 year from now. That's the most important one, right? And let me tell you, nothing is guaranteed, right? To be anywhere 1 year from now. But if you can, and you're able to, and you're still on this earth, right? You be here 1 year from now in your Legal Shield business. And those are the 10 core commitments, which leads me to this next really exciting part of tonight's call. I have an opportunity to interview a mentor to the mentor to all of us, right? A person who has changed my life for the better. I know he's changed lots of folks' lives for the better. And I remember when I first got introduced to him, it was back in like 2007 or 2008. He always corrects me. I remember 2008 or 2007. He called me up, or he said 8. He called me up. So I remember that was the first year I went on the Performance Club trip, and he said, this phone call is long overdue. And I remember saying to Amy, I remember where I was walking into my mother-in-law's house. I said, some guy named John Drennan just called me. And I'm like, the time was kind of right. Like I was like ready to get started in this business. I'd been in it for a little bit and then went through life and then got out of it a little bit. And then I kind of always stayed in performance club, but never really plugged in, never did much. And he said, listen, I'll come down to Illinois if you can put some people in a room. I said, okay, cool. I'll put some people in a room. So I just used my networking skills and brought it together like a networking meeting. I think we had about 19 there and he came. And as they say, the rest is history. But one of the things he used to say to me all the time, that's why I talked about the 10 core commitments. He said, are you core? He'd ask, are you core? And it would just be like this common language we would have. And, he's been with us for 22 years, 23. He'll share with you that, he's a speaker because he spoke on the national stage and, on other platforms as well. He's an author, the Tao of Network Marketing, which he finished this last year, which we're going to talk a little bit about when I get the opportunity to speak with him. He's coined that phrase that we all know so well: success leaves clues and success begins with showing up. And so I'd like to just go out and just make sure you can hear me, Mr. John Drennan, and a big woohoo from all of us, man. Congratulations, because he has just hit earning $3 million with Legal Shield. And now we're heading for number 4. So, sir, can you hear me okay?
I hear you great. Can you hear me?
I got you, man. I got you. 3 million, huh? That's pretty darn cool.
Yeah, it is cool. And it is 3 million. And I love listening to your comments, Timmer. I appreciate you. And it was 2009 I made that call. The reason I know that is later in that year, my wife and I moved to the town you grew up in, Louisville, Kentucky. In fact, that year, my wife left her job. This was 2009. My youngest daughter went to Europe to play volleyball. My son moved to California, having finished his master's, to start and to find work. My daughter, who was teaching in one part of New England, left that job to move to another part of New England to look for a job. And that was the year everyone said, whatever you do, don't leave your job. Our whole family made changes that year, so I'll always remember it. And the question was, can you put 20 in a room? You said, yeah, I think I can. He did have 19. I remember that clearly. And Timmer, I remember very clearly that day we met. And that was magic for me because you've been amazing. You've been so special. You're well into your 2nd million part-time virtually the entire time. And you've dealt with a lot, as we all do. So kudos to you. I also want to say kudos to Annette Zobar for kicking things off today. Annette, you've grown into such an awesome person with this company. And then Lee Perry, you always crush it. You're so reliable, so good at what you do. So I'm just honored to be here, Timmer.
Well, it's a pleasure for us to be able to congratulate you on such a great milestone. And you always said making your 2nd and your 3rd becomes easier than that 1st, right? So let me real quick. I know when you first started, you were in the world of traditional business. Maybe you could just share real quick what your traditional business, education was, right? Like tell us a little bit about what you did before you got involved in any type of network marketing.
Yeah, I went to college. I played small college basketball, majored in biology. I taught biology and science for a few years after our 2nd child was born. And by the way, I was coaching basketball and I thought I was going to be a college coach. But after our 2nd child was born, I realized I don't want that lifestyle. I wanted to be a dad and a husband and, coach my kids. And so I made a total change. I moved into the business world and fortunately, I met a guy that helped me with that, and it was a slow process, but I went from teacher coach to business, but I've never stopped teaching and coaching. Those are my skill sets. And so owned a more traditional business. I had at one point over 50 employees, over 25,000 square feet. We owned about 5 vans, a forklift, warehouses, and we were cranking, but I tell you, we had bank debt, we had a board. And if I went on listen to this, if I went on a 10-day vacation, even a 1 week, I needed a week or 2 to prepare for it and 2 to 3 weeks to correct and adjust when I got back. So it was not 1 week, it was like 5 weeks. And I remember thinking I would love to own a business where I didn't have employees, where I relied on something else, and where I didn't have an office and overhead and all those responsibilities and requirements. And I found network marketing is that. So when I found this, I dove in and was fortunate to be presented with a legal shield. It was prepaid legal when I started, and that was 25 years ago in 1998. So it's been 25 years. And I've never done anything that long except be married. I'm 41 years, but it's been incredible. And so the first million was made when I lived in Michigan, where we raised our kids. And then we left that after our youngest went to college and moved to Louisville, Kentucky. My wife and I call that a 10-year vacation. We loved it, had a great time. It was a blast. Built our second million, got our second million paid there. And then we moved back to snow country. We're now in New Hampshire. Last night, our 2 grandkids spent the night with us. We had all day with them. That's why we moved here. So we're doing the thing we moved here for, and got announced recently we earned our 3rd million. So my joke is that my wife says, John, where are we moving next? Because there's a 4th million coming. So that's a little background. Back to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And you know, what I really enjoyed is that, you know, you came from where most people come from. You know, most people don't start as network marketers and go into business. They start in the world of business and they become network marketers. You know, what really excited you about network marketing? When you first heard it, you know, I know if I remember, you were selling tennis shoes or something like that for a minute. And, you know, then you were, you know, went into personal development, but what kind of attracted you into the world of network marketing?
So, Timmer, you mentioned I wrote a book, and in that book, I said I've always pursued freedom. So when I talked about how it took a week and then a couple weeks to do a 1 week vacation, that was not freedom. So as I look back in my life, I've always pursued freedom. And what do I mean by that? Well, freedom to do what I want, live where I want, work with who I want, do what I want. And I think everybody wants that. I pursued it. I went after it. I sought it out. I looked for it. And so I learned about network marketing when I was young, but it didn't mean much. But that you mentioned selling tennis shoes. The first company I affiliated with offered sporting goods, and I was still coaching basketball. So that was perfect. I literally drove, I went out east to find coaches and talk to them about that program. We had basketballs, basketball shoes, basketball bags. So I got my feet wet and I was in my 20s. But what I realized was here's a business that's got a lot of leverage, and leverage equals freedom. The leverage was in finding people who, for their own reasons, wanted to do a business. And that's massive leverage. And I found, think about this, Timmer, if you've got 5 people committed to working 8 hours a week, that's 40 hours a week. That's like having a full-time employee, except they're not an employee. And there's no limit here. You can, I mean, our team's been, I don't know, 20,000 associates. I only brought in a handful of those, maybe 100. Do the math, leverage.
Awesome. And you know, I think too that everybody thinks that you start out and everybody goes to network marketing and it's just going to be this simple, easy thing. What about the challenges? Tell me some of the tough times. I mean, I know that we've all had them, you know, I mean, where, you know, we're trying to figure out how to get from point A to point B and do our bills all paid and groceries getting paid for and everything else. But, you know, it's not always easy. Tell about some of the tough times and then we'll get to.
Yeah, I write a lot about that in my book. Here are the tough times: getting started and talking too much. Thinking you went through your list. Who do I talk to next? Having people say they'll be there and they don't come. Having people say they'll become a member and they don't. Having people say they'll become an associate and they don't. Having people say they're going to make you rich and they disappear. They disappear. So those ones disappear so far, our identity theft people can't find them. It's working with people and having them quit, stop. It's every conceivable disappointment related to people, because this is a people business, not a legal business, not an identity theft people or business. However, there's also disappointments. We've all had the experience where the lawyers let us down. Maybe they didn't do a great job with a member and the member quit. Or maybe an associate who was brand new and vulnerable had some experience with the company that you just couldn't save it. You knew their experience wasn't the reality, but it was their reality in the minute. You couldn't save it, you couldn't fix it, and they're gone. So I learned, Timmer, to discipline my disappointments and stay focused on my goals and what I wanted, in spite of other people's goals and what they wanted, and that they'd say one thing and do another. But we all do that. So that's some of it. And you're not going to not have disappointments. But here's what happens: you grow stronger. So the thing that used to take me a week to deal with and get over in my own mind and emotions, I got that down to a day. Then I got it down to an hour. Then I literally got that down to a minute. And then I got it down to poof. Like, I don't even need to register that, because that's them. It's not me. And I got my goals. They got their life.
Yeah, I mean,
Their
it's
mindsets, Timmer.
yeah, and I fully agree with that. I mean, I think of the times when I remember I'd lose an associate, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I'd lose an associate who'd been in performance club for 5 months. I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And then I'd lose an executive director who I thought was going to be here forever. And then you'd have a ring earner who's maybe not here anymore, right? That was with you. You've had so many leaders and people in our company that have come and gone. And I see them, in different places right now in their lives, everything else. So they've left. What made you stay? Why Legal Shield for 25 years? Because I'm sure there was the latest, greatest, the shiniest thing that used to pop up and be right in front of you all the time. And they'd promise you the world to come over to that company. Why Legal Shield for so long?
So I'll go back to freedom. It was always my goal to create a business that was paying me where I didn't have to put time in. Tim Ferriss, in his book, The 4-Hour Work Week, talks about absolute income. That's the amount of money you make in a year. But then he would talk about relative income. That's the amount of money, or that's the effort that goes into making that. Right now, I make the money I make with no effort. Truly. Why? Because the system is designed for that. And I understood that. So I knew if I stayed the course, there would be a day where we have money hitting our bank every day, whether I was continuing to put in the effort or not. There were a lot of times my wife, who I love dearly, and we have a great relationship, but do different things. So this has never been her thing. And so I say that because there was a lot of time, many years really, where I had to keep telling her, just trust me. Just trust me. The fact I went to another event and came back with no new sales or no new associates does not mean it's not working. So I stayed the course because I wanted to be where I am now, live anywhere, have income coming in regularly without worrying about a commute and a boss and a job. And it comes back to freedom. But Timmer, 2 other things continued to strengthen that. Number one is you all. It's the people, it's the relationships, it's the friendships. I mean, I'm looking at this screen and just seeing people who I've hung out with and been at events with. I mean, I see Ken Blum on here, and, living in Louisville, I learned a little bit about the bourbon world, and he and I would have fun, at our events, bringing different bottles and talking about them. And I see Lee Perry, and remember first time I met her at a luncheon in Evansville, and Annette being at her house where she could help me out with QuickBooks. And I mean, you, Timmer. So it's the people, it's the relationships. Jane Lehman's on here, amazing. And I'm sorry to name anyone, because everyone on here I could name except those I haven't met. And then secondly, Timmer, but beyond the people is the growth. You cannot be in this industry and not grow. You can't, because we force personal growth through our structure. So the people and the growth just keep you here. And I love you all. And I love the growth I've experienced. I love the growth I see in you.
That's awesome. And you've taken a lot of that knowledge, the 20 plus years, and put into this book that you just finished. Why'd you write the book? Like, I mean, at this point in your life, that takes a lot of time, a lot of discipline, a lot of long nights, early mornings, and everything else. What made you want to write a book?
So I wrote it in 2021. So it's actually been out now for, it'll be 2 years in September when it came out. And that was during COVID. So like everyone else, we were more confined. And so I'd known for years I was going to write a book, but for whatever reason, the timing hadn't occurred yet. Well, the timing occurred when I finally said during COVID, looking at my move to New Hampshire, looking at my age, looking at my life, I said, at some point I got to stop talking about this and do it. Well, so I called somebody who I heard was writing a book, and here's how I called them, to see if they wanted to be a workout partner, because I knew the value of that. That was part of my growth. She immediately says, John, you need to call this person. Well, this person she referenced was a coach, a writing coach who owns a publishing company. So I hired the coach. Are you getting this? I called someone to get a workout partner, ended up with a coach, a mentor. You can't beat the leverage of that, and a publishing company. So I knew these were the right people. I immediately committed. And then with the coach, with that kind of support, and with my own realization, it's time to do this. That's why I did it. But there's another reason. For years, I found myself being so frustrated hearing stories of people who got excited, they joined network marketing, but then a well-meaning friend or family member blew up their dream in day one or week one. I thought, why isn't there a way to address this? And I finally said, John, you can address it. You get it. You understand it. In chapter 1 of my book, it hits all the myths. It talks about what you're going to run into and how to deal with the person that says, isn't that a pyramid scheme? And what do I do when I run out of people? All the things people get afraid of, I addressed in chapter 1. I finally thought, I can be the answer to a lot of what's needed out there, in my opinion, and from my view. So that's another reason I wrote it. So it was a combination of things.
That's awesome. So tell us about how's life today, right? I mean, I know you travel, you've been traveling, you grandkids, and got some Airbnbs, and a new place to live. And so how's life today?
I never really knew where I'd be at 70 with Legal Shield, with other things I do. And those who know me know I'm not building this business now like I did. No way. I'm in what they classically call management mode. I'm on here. I do Zooms, I do calls, but I'm not out selling and recruiting. And that's only because I've chosen differently. I've been pretty transparent with that, moving to New Hampshire to be near our grandkids. So we spend time with them. But we also got into some other sources of income. We own 4 rentals. Now, my wife runs that, but that doesn't mean I'm not there changing a, shower head or shoveling snow or whatever I can do to help. So we've got 4 rentals here in New Hampshire. My wife's an artist. She still maintains her art business and has stores around here that sell her stuff. I do other things. I've got other investments and other interests, and we're meeting all new people here. So I swim in the winter indoors, in the summer in a lake. I love it. We bought a dog during COVID. A dog's a big part of our life. We are dog people now. We weren't when we moved here. Many we have a daughter who has struggled with some real challenges the last 2 years and continues to progress. But literally for a year of my life, she was my biggest focus. And then I started a business called Consergo. It's a personal growth company. And many of you are familiar with it. Some of you are members. I do want to tell you, and this is a promotion. My daughter has, like me, had taught school and then made a move, got into business. She is now a highly effective coach for women, and specifically entrepreneurial women, with money strategies and mindsets. And she is doing a workshop this coming Wednesday. And I want to give you this information because I think women who are in Legal Shield will benefit from her influence. And she doesn't do many things for free, but this will be free. It's Wednesday, 10 a.m. It's a 90-minute workshop on planning out your next 90 days of your financial life, and you'll get value from it. So anyone that wants to attend that can go to our platform, consergo.world. And when you open that up, there's a banner there to click and register. It's free to anybody that wants to attend. I'll put that in the chat. I know I'm covering a lot of ground, but we don't do this every day.
We sure don't. Well, may not get another chance to your next million. This will be your 4th million. But listen, I just want to say thank you so much, Mr. Drennan. From the bottom of my heart, I appreciate you so much. I know that everyone on here appreciates you so much. Everybody give John a good thumbs up and a congratulatory.
Hey,
you want to?
Hey, Timmer.
Yes, sir.
There might be a time before the 2nd million hits. I'm also writing my 2nd book now. So that's another thing I'm doing. So I remember thinking when I'm 65, 70, 75, I'll have all the time in the world. No, I'm busier now than I've ever been. So hopefully we can talk when that book comes out too.
Well, that's what keeps you sharp. So thank you so much, Mr. Drennan. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Again, happy birthday to Janae, and happy birthday to Bill Frank. And then I've got a short little video here that I'm going to try and play. So if y'all can just give me thumbs up to let me know it actually plays when I share. You know, we talk about meeting people, and there's nobody better to talk about meeting folks than our all-time money earner, biggest money earner, Mr. Dave Savola. So I'm going to see if I can get this video to play. Can y'all see that okay?
Yes.
And can you hear it? It'll be the key.
Let me welcome you as a prepaid legal associate. What I'd like to do is share with you some important information on recruiting in this business. One of the most important areas, I believe, in starting off in the business is really how do you approach people? And sometimes people complicate this area, but I think it's relatively simple. In fact, a number of years ago, after a lot of trial and error, I came up with a little 3-step program that I'd like to share with each and every one of you right now. Sometimes when you call people up, you get on the phone with them and you want to tell them too much about our business. And as a result of it, you find yourself maybe a half an hour or 45 minutes later, and you really start thinking about, well, you know, I've shared a lot of information, but really they haven't seen this. So a long time ago, I decided that I was going to use a couple key things that were going to help me build a business. And one of the key things is the word show. You know, when you think about your life, you really didn't buy your house by not taking a look at it. You didn't buy a car by not looking at it. And when it comes to a business opportunity, there's some things in the world of prepaid legal that you need to sit down with a brand new prospect and share with them. Now, the second thing is, what time frame do you need to get people's attention with? And a lot of times I would ask for an hour, 45 minutes, and I found out that people just didn't have the patience for that much time. So I came up with 15 minutes. Why 15 minutes? Because it was very simple. Inside of 15 minutes, I could open up a placemat brochure and walk everybody through what our coverage was. So again, 15 minutes was a key number as far as minutes were concerned. The third thing was you may or may not be interested. Why is that? Because simply the fact is it put people in a comfort zone. They felt very relaxed, and so did I. You know, so very simply, I just want to walk you through this, that if you're talking to a brand new person, a brand new prospect in this business, all you want to do is simply say, look, there's something important I want to show you. I'd like to stop by for about 15 minutes. And by the way, you may or may not be interested. Now, even if you get these out of order, it's not going to make a big difference, because again, if you say the same thing again, just going, hey, I'd like to stop by for about 15 minutes. Something important I want to show you. And by the way, you may or may not be interested. And last but not least, you may or may not be interested. Like to stop by for about 15 minutes. Something important I want to show you. Again, no matter how you say these, they're going to wind up basically doing the same approach. And I find this to be a very simple way of operating your business. Along with that, I want to talk about 3 other things that are very important from an approach standpoint. These 3 steps I have found, again, along with what I just shared with you, critical and very important also. One is making a contact, 2 is building a friendship, and 3 is basically sharing your profession with people. So when I get on a plane, one of the first things I do is just simply introduce myself. Hi, my name is Dave Savola, and they introduce themselves back to me. And then I start, by the way, where are you from? And they'll give me a little location or state, the state that they reside in, the city that they reside in. And I'll start building a little bit of rapport with this individual, talking a little bit about their family, talking about their children, maybe some of their hobbies and things that they enjoy doing. And of course, they come back and do the same thing with me. So we're building a little bit of friendship from the standpoint of the number 2 thing. The third thing I always say is, by the way, what do you do for a living? And of course, they're going to share whatever industry that they may be in. I'm going to compliment that. And they're probably going to ask me the same thing. By the way, Dave, what do you do? In fact, if they don't ask me, I really come back and say, probably you're thinking right now, what do I do for a living? And when they say, well, what do you do, Dave? And I said, look, prepaid legal services. And I don't say any more than that. And the reason for that is because I don't want to complicate it. And they've never heard of our business. I've been around the industry now for about 14 years in the world of prepaid legal. I'm going to tell you, in all my travels across the United States and Canada, I've yet to sit with anybody that's ever owned a membership in our business or anybody that's even been an associate yet. Nobody knows who we are. So again, when you say prepaid legal services, the first thing they come back and say, well, Dave, how does that work? What is that? And my simple example is I said, look, we do for lawyers what medical insurance has done for doctors. And then again, I just walk them through by basically having a placemat brochure in my pocket. I can just sit down and they say, well, how does this work? And I said, look, here's as simple as it is. Let me just hand you this and you can read it back to me. In many cases, I let them read the titles to me because, again, it's a learning process and they start to understand what our service and our product's all about. So in this approach, these 2 different types of approach, keep in mind, show 15 minutes, you may or may not be interested, a very simple way of establishing that appointment with an individual. Making a contact, building a friendship, and then talking about your business is something I do every single day. And if you get in the right habits of doing this, you're going to find that your business is going to grow much faster. Habits are going to create the success pattern that you need to develop in this business.
All right. Well, listen, everybody have a tremendous, tremendous evening. Let's have an absolutely awesome June. And I look forward to hearing everybody on our morning stretch tomorrow morning, which I believe we will have Motivation Monday with Miss Linda Beck, if I am not mistaken. So I'll see everybody on the stretch call tomorrow morning. Everybody have a great night and bye-bye for now.
Bye, guys. Thank you.